I hope you're ready. This is going to be exciting.
And the ARCA restart's up to go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
Welcome back to the Glove Station ARCA series, and we continue our playoffs tonight at a track that the drivers can't race anymore in real life, but they can here on iRacing. We are at the old configuration of Atlanta Motor Speedway for the second race in our round of 16. I'm Sky Shrek. I'm joined tonight in the booth by Dave Regal, and Eddie Smith is our producer. Dave, this version of Atlanta is so iconic. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, for starters, this mile-and-a-half speedway just outside of Hampton, Georgia, is one of the classics. And this is pre-repave, which, of course, has turned it into almost a mini super speedway. But in the old configuration, we've got 24 degrees of banking in the turns, 3 degrees of banking on the front, and it's more of a quad oval. So you're going to see a lot of drivers with that transition coming out of turn 4 and into the quad oval, getting that rear end stepping out from the car. In fact, turn 4 kind of turns into Calamity Corner. And the other interesting thing about this is the transition between turns, basically the front stretch and into turn 1. There is a major dip that we're going to watch a lot of these drivers have to navigate. And, basically, you almost have to float the throttle, because if you're on it too hard, the rear end will step out. If you're off too hard, the front end will start to dance away on you. So there's a lot of technical driving on this mile-and-a-half quad oval tonight.
And it's a track that the drivers don't see super often because we aren't able to run here all the time, seeing as iRacing has mostly replaced this track with the new plate racing style configuration of Atlanta. So it's a very different experience here for these drivers. We're going to give you a look at your point standings here coming into this race, or I guess not your point standings, but your playoff bracket coming into this race. First up, we have the pro class, and you can see the drivers right there. Joseph McWhorter got the win last week, and he has advanced his way through into the round of 8. Your drivers in order back from there are Tyler Justice, Mark Whitley, Barrett Morton, Pooling Kowser, Christian Angel, Logan Threlkeld, and Sean Kaiser. Those are the drivers currently above the cut line. And then the drivers below it who are looking to move their way up into the field for the next round are Jake Ham, Ryzen Baker, Tim Wilms, George Jewell, Brandon Wallace, Jeremiah Holt, Jake Ellingson, and Tim Peters. Over in the AM class, we've got a tight battle going on there as well. Your winner last week was Samuel Yosef, and he has locked up his spot in the round of 8 as a result. The drivers back from there in points order after last week are Daniel Parks, Kyle Deering, Sedarius Days, Brock Price, Charles Abert, Kevin Price, Claire Sisk, Alan Smith, Chuck Feltz, Jamie Libke, Dave Calvert, Mark Cofield, Noah Hogard, Josh Unger, and Jacob Lanke. Those are the rest of the drivers. The top 8 of those, from Samuel Yosef to Claire Sisk, are currently in the field, and the 8 drivers behind them will look to jump their way up into the top 8 tonight. Is there anything that you're really keeping an eye on, Dave, in these point standings?
The first thing that I want to say is there are some of these drivers that have been kind of working their way through the field this year. There's a lot of competition. Of course, once we combined the 2 divisions, the East and the West, some of these drivers haven't actually seen one another on the racetrack until we hit the playoffs. And I think GLR did a great job, being able to meld everything together, being able to, find where everybody has to be and getting it right. And it's not very often in any sport, much less, motorsports, where they get it right the first time, and GLR managed to build the plane right before it even took off for the playoffs.
It's a pretty big field here with these 32 drivers, but it will be reduced to 16 for next week at Kansas. You can see where we've been and where we're going for the rest of the season. It was IRP. That was the last race that decided the point standings heading into this one. We are off next week for Thanksgiving, but then we'll return to start the round of 8 for these drivers at Kansas and Milwaukee before our final race on December 15th. From Kentucky Speedway, which is another one these drivers don't get a chance to drive too often in these ARCA cars. So I think that one will be pretty fun as well.
Yeah, Kentucky, first of all, let me just say this. I think iRacing does a lot of things right. And one of the things that we get to do is we get to have these tracks that are now, at this point, immortal. Thank God for servers and being able to save a file, because we get to go to places like Kentucky. And you can customize your own season, where you can have ARCA cars at Kentucky or at Old Atlanta or at IRP, something that we don't get to see in the everyday real world. So, this league, I think when you look at how some of the leagues on iRacing are set up, almost everybody starts at Daytona. Not GLR, not the Glove Station ARCA series. We're starting at Talladega, and then we end at Kentucky, where most people wind up at either Phoenix or Homestead, depending on, their, let's just put it this way, their, I don't know, allegiances, I guess, is probably the word that I'm looking for, is we're just a couple of seconds away from gridding. Looks like Joseph McWhorter is going to be awarded the Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award tonight. As out of Plainfield, Indiana, they are local and veteran certified, and when they do well, they can do more good in the community. Since forming in 2013, they have been a major partner of GLR, and McWhorter is going to lead off in the 72 on the pole. He's got Mark Whitley starting in second to his outside. Starting on the inside of row number 2 is going to be Jake Ellingson, as Ellingson's going to be joined by Dave Calvert Sr. in fourth. Rounding out your starting top 5 is Jeremiah Holt and Jamie Libke, one of our AM drivers here, starting in 6th position. In 7th is Ryzen Baker in the double natural, with Jake Ham in the 85 on the outside of row number 4. And rounding out your starting top 10 is Tyler Justice in the 33 and Brock Price in the 43.
Starting in 11th tonight is the 37 of Jacob Lanke, who has a long way to go tonight if he wants to get himself back up into the playoff field. Samuel Yosef, your AM winner last week, rolls off in 12th. Sean Kaiser, 13th in the 46. Barrett Morton, 14th in the 9. Alan Smith, one spot behind the cut line in AM, rolls off in 15th next to the 50 car of Kyle Deering, who sits 3rd right now in that class. Logan Threlkeld goes from 17th in the 30 car. Kevin Price on his outside in the 80. And your last 2 cars in the top 20 are the 91 of Huling Kauser and the 36 of George Jewell.
Mark Cofield going to roll off in 21st with Daniel Parks to his outside starting in 22nd. Charles Abert and Timothy Wilmes, they're going to be in 23rd and 24th, while Josh Unger out of Muncie, Indiana starts in 25th with Brandon Wallace out of Odessa in 26th. 27th is Chuck Pegleg Feltz from Los Alamos, New Mexico, with Noah Hoagie Hogard starting in 28th. 29th is going to be Sedarius Days, and of course Claire Sisk out of Fort Worth going to be starting 30th on the field tonight. So 30 cars scheduled to take the green flag. Looks like Hayden Muir and George Jewell have yet to take the grid, so they'll be starting from the back. Of course, we want to check in here with our race analysis. 80 laps, drivers are going to have 65% of the fuel load. That pit road speed, they're going to have to woe it down to 50 miles per hour, which in these ARCA cars, that's going to take a lot of pedal action and a lot of discipline on the driver's parts. 2 green-white checker attempts. We're going to see if we can keep that nice and clean for the end. And everybody going to be racing with that iRacing fixed setup, which, to me, we got to all remember, that means that this is going to be a lot of stress on these drivers because they're going to be racing each other's skill rather than each other's setup.
And hey, how about Dave Calvert rolling off in P4 tonight? That is one of the drivers in the AM class, the highest qualifying driver in the AM class, right there in 4th. And he'll be rolling off right in front of another AM driver in Jamie Libke. Those are 2 drivers that are looking to jump their way from outside the playoff picture after IRP up into the top 8 to make the next round of the AM Championship and qualifying 4th and 6th tonight. Is definitely a good way to do that for those 2 cars, and they've got a pretty decent gap behind them to the next AM driver, which is Brock Price back there in 10th. So Dave Calvert and Jamie Libke will be looking to turn those good starting positions into some good points and a spot in the Championship 8 when we get to our next race at Kansas. Pace car is going to pull in here at a 4. On the front row, it's Joseph McWhorter and Mark Whitley like it's been so often this year. McWhorter gets the jump, and we're green at Atlanta.
Drivers getting themselves settled in as they are 2x2 into turns 1 and 2. And as they haul it down the backstretch, looks like everybody getting a nice clean start to this race as they come off of turn exit and into the backstretch.
Mark Whitley grabs the lead away on the outside from the 72 of Joseph McWhorter. Whitley trying to lock himself into the next round of the playoffs up here in P1. Had a good result last week but wasn't able to get it done. McWhorter took the win away, and now Whitley is going to try to get his way up as Dave Calvert continues to push the issue. He's up to P3 now. Jamie Libke tailing in P4. Both of these drivers trying to catch those top 2 of McWhorter and Whitley, who have been so dominant this year in the Glove Station ARCA Series.
While they battle it out for the lead, Ryzen Baker just slid behind the 73 of Jeremiah Holt as he's already up 1 position over top of his qualifying position. It's P7. Jamie Libke, meanwhile, up 2 after qualifying P6. This is quite an interesting little area here as Jeremiah Holt lays fast time down at 30.52 seconds here on lap number 3. They're drag racing down the backstretch for the lead as now it looks like McWhorter peeks to the inside. He's going to go side by side with the 72. We stay green flag racing. Nobody touches, nobody wrecks, and they race out John Force style.
Caution out.
Back to the start-finish line, and here's
Daniel
the
Parks
car.
is wrecked. This was I believe it's in turn 3 here for the 71 of Daniel Parks. Well, it started a little bit earlier. It started on the back straightaway and just continued down into turn 3. You'll see it right here. Contact with the 97 of Mark Cofield. Sends that 71 spinning. A little bit of tap to the inside wall, but I don't think that car is going to have too much damage. He should be able to get that fixed on a pit stop.
Nothing like jinxing the race and broadcaster's kiss of death. My goodness. Oh, yeah, he just gets hooked. It didn't look real intentional. It was just hard racing and maybe a little bit too close. With the aero packages on these ARCA cars, they're really prone on dragging each other closer together in some of these straightaways.
Yeah, you'll see it right here on board from Mark Cofield. He's just going to go up the track a little bit. I'm not sure if he knew they were 3 wide or if he wasn't clear of that 71 car, but whatever the end result or whatever the start of it was, the end result is the same, and that is Daniel Parks backwards and into the inside wall.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. You're watching the Goat Locker Racing Glove Station ARCA Series live on V-Speed as we have your Season 4 playoffs. We see these drivers down here. I see Chuck Pegleg Feltz. He's got the guns out once again. I don't see anybody with some lung dart heaters up here, but usually we do by now. I see some, who's that? Daniel Parks there down in, it's either a beer or an energy drink in the corner. Daniel Parks, give us a wave if you're watching. There's Sam Yosef, down in the middle. This is almost like the Brady Bunch, 9 little frames here. And these drivers hyper-focused as they get to take a little bit of a breather here as we're under our first caution on lap number 5. Of course, we also want to thank our friends at Glove Station. Here at Glove Station, we're committed to providing quality gloves and protective gear for a wide range of your daily activities and jobs, from tinkering on home DIYs to working in industrial environments and everything in between. We've got you covered. With the endless amounts of safety products on the market, we want to make it effortless for you to find the right protection for your needs. And Sky, you know, Glove Station has been an incredible partner, at least for the last 2 seasons that I've been associated with GLR. And, you know, definitely appreciative of everything that they do for us here.
Yeah, we're very thankful for all of our partners here at Gold Locker Racing that allow us to not only go racing here every week, especially in the Glove Station ARCA Series, but to give out those sim rigs to veterans. I think 13th sim rig to a veteran just went out, and they'll be joining us on track here in some of our Goat Locker leagues very shortly. So it's always great to have this space, and it's always great to have those partners who are willing to help out and contribute to the mission of Goat Locker Racing. The lights on the pace car are out this time in turn 2. You've got Mark Whitley and Joseph McWhorter still on the front row, but their positions are swapped from where they rolled off on the restart. Mark Whitley has the lead right here, and Joseph McWhorter will go from P2, trying to steal that spot back on the outside like Whitley did on the initial start of this race. You got a pro drivers on row 1. You've got an all-AM row 2. Jamie Libke and Dave Calvert sitting up there, not something you see every day, while Jeremiah Holt and Ryzen Baker sit 5th and 6th, trying to mount charges to get themselves up into that top 8 before the playoffs contract to 8 cars next week. Pace car pulls in once again out of 4. Mark Whitley gets down in the restart zone, and it's a great jump for him. We're back green on lap 7 at Atlanta.
It was a good jump for Whitley, but there's a hot battle back here between the 77, the 73, and the 16. It's a 3-way battle for 4th position, and they are going to have to sort it out like kids in the backseat of the family station wagon. The 16 of Jamie Libke now slides behind the double natural. That 77 of Ryzen Baker. Oh, and Baker rubs the wall coming out of turn 3 and into 4. And oh, the 90 is down onto the apron. That's Dave Calvert Sr. He starts falling through the grass. We stay green, though. He does some rough landscaping. He's going to have to get back up to speed. As he got down there, he didn't turn sideways, so it doesn't trigger the iRacing caution, and they are drag racing once again for the lead down the backstretch. Whitley and McWhorter are, that is, as the Wilmington, North Carolina native now holds on to P2. He's almost touching fenders with the 72, rolling out of turn 4 and back to the front stretch.
We'll show you the replay when this battle for the lead is over, but there was more than a little bit of help for Dave Calvert to go around there off the nose of Holt. We're still side by side for the lead, and it's a big lunge here for Joseph McWhorter down on the inside lane, but Mark Whitley just has that advantage rolling the top line. He's able to get a better run out of the corner, and he takes it away from McWhorter once again, running a little bit higher on the racetrack, taking a much wider line down to the bottom, and that is able to get him a better run out of the corner here as McWhorter is trying to use the draft on these ARCA cars to close up. Right now, though, he's just not there. Mark Whitley is doing a great job of defending, and we're going to go side by side for the lead again here. Whitley will get it off the corner. Here's the accident involving Dave Calvert. You've got Jeremiah Holt. He's just going to get into the back of him. 1 check, 2 check around Dave Calvert goes. We got this battle still going up here for the lead as Mark Whitley holds it over the 72 of Joseph McWhorter, Ryzen Baker, Jeremiah Holt, Jake Ham back 3rd through 5th. We're going 3 wide there, a little bit further back in the field, right around Logan Threlkeld, Sean Kaiser, Barrett Morton. That's 10th through 13th in this battle right here. We'll go side by side for the lead once again for Joseph McWhorter. He is taking some big lunges down to the inside of Ryzen Baker, of Mark Whitley, and so far he's not been able to get it. The 74 is doing a great job of pinching him down in that corner, taking away all of his momentum on exit and keeping his lead over McWhorter.
While they're drag racing and battling it out for the lead, the 43 and the 27 were just exchanging paint back here in a battle for 7th position. These drivers have been side by side for the last couple of laps, and they were just literally door banging coming into the backstretch. And now the 27 is starting to fall behind the 43 of Brock Price. As Price isn't ready to give that up, we go on board now with the 43, with Jake Ellingson here in the 27. And Ellingson, we can see him on his in-car cam right now, out his windshield and the camera watching the driver. And I'll tell you what, Ellingson is hyper-focused right now at this point. And here he is peeking away. He sees himself on TV. Jake, you got to pay attention. You can't park that way. As we keep moving forward, he's working to the inside of the 43 of Brock Price, and they are still exchanging 7th position.
It's almost like a draft race here with how close so many of these cars at the front still are. We really have not seen any separation between a lot of these cars in this field. See Jake Ellingson right there. We're getting into it a little bit further up the road. Ryzen Baker almost gave a bit of a bump and run to Jeremiah Holt, but Holt was able to hang on. Ryzen Baker ultimately losing the positions there. And now you've got Jacob Lanke and Jake Ham trying to pounce. McWhorter's trying a new strategy. He's trying to rip the high line to get to Mark Whitley's outside, which I think is going to be pretty much the only way he can get around that 74 car. The issue is, Whitley is doing a great job of defending, and McWhorter is getting loose. He's loose again. He's up the road, door banging Mark Whitley. Contact between the two cars. We keep it straight, we keep it even, but Logan Threlkeld is around in the background. Caution flies on lap 15.
Jacob Lanke out of Toledo, Ohio, just goes around here on the backstretch coming out of turn 2. He got turned into this mix here, as we're going to go back to the V-Speed replay any second now. Here it comes. And side by side they were. Watch this battle for the lead, and meanwhile Lanke gets sideways behind them. So it's almost like the caution flew just in time to cool things down, to at least to maybe not wreck the leaders, or at least have the leaders wreck themselves.
Yeah, that was Jacob Lanke, not Logan Threlkeld. Threlkeld's in that other car with a 3, about 3 spots behind this one. Lanke just gets contact off the corner with Jake Ellingson. And that sends him around into the inside wall. Was one of the highest running drivers in that AM class, but that is going to send him pretty deep in the field. He'll have to work his way through. been a rough time for these AM drivers who are running pretty well. Dave Calvert turned off the nose of Jeremiah Holt, and now Jacob Lanke turned off the nose of Jake Ellingson, all in the first 15 laps.
Yeah, and it's not, at least in my opinion, it shouldn't be reflected on the fact that they're AM drivers. I mean, this stuff can happen to anybody. And I mean, when you're trying to battle for that promotion at the end of the season, where you're trying to battle for those playoff points, and especially for that win to punch your ticket to the next round of the playoffs, you'll do just about anything, as it's now wholesale pit stops. Our leaders come on down the 72 and the 74. And Jacob Lanke also now sliding into his pit box as we get literally everybody on the track down pit road.
Well, we got two who stayed out here. Samuel Joseph, it looks like, has stayed out on the track. So has Kyle Deering. Everybody else is going to come down, and Mark Whitley will come out first of the cars who did, with McWhorter, Baker, Jeremiah Holt, and Daniel Parks. The next cars out. I think Parks maybe played some strategy because he came in 18th. Yes, fuel only for both Daniel Parks and Jake Ham, who are going to come out 7th and 8th respectively. Joseph and Deering playing a little strategy, and 16 laps into this race, they'll stay out to take the AM lead and P2.
Well, I guess one of the strategies they might be trying to apply here is the fact that we've now had 2 cautions in about 17 laps. With that fuel load, they would have been able to get to somewhere in and around lap 26, 25, 26. So maybe they're just counting on another caution coming out. That'll put them on a different pit cycle. And, ultimately it could rotate them to the lead just when they need it late in this race.
We will see if these tires are ultimately able to hold up for those top 2 cars. Old Atlanta is a track that is known for being a bit of a cheese grater on tires, and it's a bit of a risk here for Samuel Joseph and Kyle Deering to stay out. If there was, I would say, one track that I would not want to stay out on old tires on, this is definitely it. It is a cheese grater. Before they reconfigured it to a kind of super speedway style racetrack, they hadn't paved this place in decades. It is bumpy, it is tough, and it is rough on your tire treads. And I think the 50 and the 65 are about to find that out real quick.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You can try that different fuel strategy, but I think that you're 1,000% right. I mean, at a place like this, you need as much grip as you can possibly get. I mean, it's here, it's Bristol, that tire grip is more important than just about anywhere. But hey, maybe Joseph and Deering know something we don't.
Well, we'll see. It's not only them, but you've got Daniel Parks back there who took fuel only on this one. So we've got a couple cars on old tires as Joseph and Deering enter the restart zone. Joseph's going to get a little bit loose there. Same with Deering, but they both keep it straight. We take the green flag. Deering is way up the road, and Mark Whitley's going to get down to the inside of not just the 50 car, but the 65 as well. He's not even out of turn 1, and he's already back to the lead.
Yeah, Whitley and McWhorter are definitely not known for just waiting it out. I mean, I've seen McWhorter have to make a drive from deep in the field after using a faster pair after bad things happen to working his way up through. We see Sam Joseph here, of course, right now running in 4th position, holding on for dear life in the 65. He's not blinking. Watch his eyes. Like in real time, this man is not blinking. He is hyper-focused. He's getting through here, and there are beads of sweat forming on that big old dome of his.
We're side-by-side back for the lead with Joseph McWhorter in the 72 down to the inside of the 74 of Mark Whitley. He's been trying this move for about 15 laps now, but he just can't get the run off the corner. Whitley shuts him out, but Whitley's in the fence. This might be the chance he needs, and it will be. Joseph McWhorter is clear to the lead as we enter turn 1. Here comes Ryzen Baker up behind him, gave him a shove, and now he's going to try to do what McWhorter did, but he gets loose, can't get it up the road. McWhorter is clear to the lead, Whitley clear to P2, and Baker's going to fall all the way back to 4th as Jeremiah Holt joins the battle in 3rd.
Yeah, I feel like Baker kind of forgot that this is old Atlanta, not new Atlanta. You can't bump draft like that, and he just had way too much of a run and couldn't hold it underneath him. And now the 74 peaks to the inside of the 72. Earlier on we saw the 74, trying to rip the high line. And here's the thing, there's a lot of speed locked up there. But unless you're really willing to drive on the very edge, you're not going to be able to hold it down. Samuel Joseph, our AM leader right now, he's got Daniel Parks running P2. He's got Brock Price running in third. Jamie Lipke and Kyle Deering, that's your AM top 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 they go. Then Joseph McWhorter, Mark Whitley, Jeremiah Holt, Ryzen Baker, and Tyler Justice, your top 5 on the pro side. These drivers duking it out now as we look a little further back in the field. Watch the 43 of Price. We just talked about him a moment ago, running P2 in the AM standings, holding off the 85 of Jake Ham.
Brock Price is going to come up here through the field pretty quick because he's on 4 fresh tires, and Samuel Joseph is very much not. So the 43 car just has that speed advantage, and he's working it right now to close up to that 65. I think he'll get him before too long. As we go to battle for the AM lead right here, the 43 will stay on the bumper of the 65. It'll take a little bit of a higher run through the corner here, trying to build the momentum to get around the 65. If he can get side by side, I think he'll be able to get the spot. The dive up the inside comes here from the 43 of Brock Price down into 3. Going to give a little bit of a door to Samuel Joseph for the 65. Successfully stops his run out of the corner and holds the AM lead for another lap as we are sprawling out behind him. Bit of a roadblock here as we're 2 by 2 trying to get around Samuel Joseph.
And this is what separates, the good drivers from the great drivers. I mean, you see the 85, the 60, whoa, the 85 kisses the wall just a touch. But Jamie Lipke and the 46 of Sean Kaiser, they're both watching the 65 and the 43 battle it out in front of them. You can see that they backed off a little bit, give them some, the 43. I don't know where that came from. It almost looked like it could have been a cut tire. I mean, we know it's a virtual cut tire, but the 43 just dove down into the grass. My goodness. Let's take a look at that replay as we go on board now with the 43. Just to the inside, waiting to see what happens with these hands. Coming out of turn 4, and nope, the rear end just steps around. Racing hard against the 65 will cost him several spots now as the 43 is shuffled all the way back to 29th.
The battle's still raging up there in the field, though. You've got Sean Kaiser now trying to look to the inside of the 65 of Samuel Joseph, Jamie Lipke, Logan Threlkeld side by side in the 16 and the 30. Battle's forming a little bit further up. Battle's forming a little bit further back here. We're 3 wide with Jake Ham, Julian Kauser, and George Jewell back here on exit of turn 4. This is going to get a little close as we stay 3 wide all the way down through the tri-oval. Ham is the driver on those old tires, and Kauser is the driver that backs out. Jewell will get through on the inside, and I think it's going to be Julian Kauser looking to join him here in just a second. Sean Kaiser finally looking to get clear of the 65 car of Samuel Joseph. Looks like he might do that before too long, as he's got Lipke and Threlkeld right up behind him. 2 by 2 once again here as all these drivers look to find their way around Joseph on these older tires.
Yeah, Joseph has done a really good job keeping the competitors behind him, or at least slowing them down. It slows their progress down, as now he's got Logan Threlkeld on the high side of the M&M machine looking to make the pass. Now Threlkeld secures 8th position away. Jamie Lipke looks to do the same thing, but the 36 of George Jewell, who we just saw in a 3-wide situation, first of all, got insanely lucky. When you're the meat in that 3-wide sandwich, you don't want to give up that track position. Sometimes you're forced to kind of back out, but Jewell held on for dear life, managed to make the right call, and at least is only running right now, just a little bit deeper than he was earlier. The 65 holding in front of the 27 of Jake Ellingson, with Jewell looking to the inside. This is quite a knot of cars as the 27 gets a run underneath the 65 of Samuel Joseph. Now Joseph gives up another spot. So obviously maybe my earlier thought about, fuel cycles changing was incorrect. And, of course, Eddie was, here in the chat talking about things. And, obviously it's definitely the tire situation.
Hey, we've had some great racing up front here as well. Mark Whitley held him off for second, but we were door banging not too long ago between Mark Whitley and Jeremiah Holt. Holt got loose as a result, went all the way back to 5th. with a little bit of a speed issue, I guess, there. And Tyler Justice and Ryzen Baker are now going at it for P3. Justice up to the podium from 9th to 3rd. Holt and Baker doing battle. We've got a car in the pits here. That's Noah Hogard in the 158 in the AM class. Still side by side out of this corner. Might go 3 wide. Holt looked like he was going to try to take a peek to the middle there. Ended up staying on the high side. You've got Barrett Morton in the 9 working his way into this battle as well as he tries to jump himself into the top 8 for a little bit of a playoff run. You can see the battle here between the 73 and the 74. They were getting into it all corner, and then the 73 car just lost speed, slid back all the way to 4th, and then continued to lose time from there. This is going to be the little bit of door banging that we saw for P2. With the 73 car just getting into Mark Whitley, was really driving him up the track there as these two tried to race for it. And now Holt's back up to 4th, or try to get back up to 4th around Ryzen Baker. Tyler Justice holds 3rd. Your top 2, Whitley and McWhorter, are gone.
Ryzen Baker starting to close in now on the 33. I mean, you know, Justice hasn't been as consistent as he needs to be to keep that lead over Baker. Over the last, let's see, 5 laps, it looks like only twice he was faster than Baker, and Baker has been slowly but surely eroding that lead away. Meanwhile, up at the lead, now it looks like McWhorter has now stepped out to 0.4 of a second while they fight it out from behind. You know, and here's the thing. Watch the 77 looking to the inside now. He's going to make that move. They go window net to window net in turn 1. By the time we roll out here back on the backstretch, it's going to be Ryzen Baker taking over 3rd position and working his way onto the podium.
And now back in the battle for 4th, Jeremiah Holt has the nose up to the inside of the 33 car of Tyler Justice. It's the 73 car of Jeremiah Holt making that move work. He'll stick it up to 4th, and I wonder if Tyler Justice, in his charge from 9th up to 3rd, maybe used up the tires a little bit too early on this run, because he is slipping back through the field. Now falling into the clutches of the 9 of Barrett Morton, who's working on the white line.
Morton working underneath, has been faster than Threlkeld, who trails him by about a second and change. You know, he's been consistent over the last 5 laps. Meanwhile, the 33 of Tyler Justice has been trying to keep Morton behind him, but Morton's starting to run faster than him as well. You know, this is somebody who waited for that car to come in. Sometimes you got to get to the middle of that run before, you know, your fuel load is just light enough, the tires are nice and hot, that grip isn't too loose, it's not too tight. And we've seen Barrett Morton over this season just be extremely patient as we go on board now with Morton, who lines up behind the 33. The 73 of Jeremiah Holt. My goodness, all of a sudden I can't see. As he looks on to Ryzen Baker in his Ford ahead. I mean, Holt has been holding down 4th position for the last several laps, but I'm afraid he's going to have Tyler Justice hot on his heels in just a few seconds.
Well, we'll see, because he did just get around Justice only a few laps to go, and I think Justice is maybe closer to getting passed by the 9 of Barrett Morton, who's really starting to give him a run for his money there in that 9 car. He's been running in 6th for quite a bit now, has been looking to find his way further up into the top 5 as the gap only continues to increase to the cars behind them of Logan Threlkeld, and then that battle that's just, Samuel Joseph around on the old tires. There he goes. He's going to spin it into the pit lane, so we're not going to have a caution, but that is going to be likely the end of Samuel Joseph's chances of going back-to-back with wins in the AM class, as he is going to have to drive all the way through pit road and maybe just take a pit stop here, because he is in some trouble.
Yeah, he was coming out of turn 4, and once again, you know, we talked about it in pre-race. That rear end of the 65 just kept rotating. Here he comes out of 4. He's trying to get himself, you know, right against that white line, and all it takes is a little nibble of it, and the rear end comes around at the entrance to pit road. The biggest problem for him is going to be that black flag that now he's going to have to probably serve for the unsafe pit entry, and then of course he's also got to get pit service.
We've seen a couple cars really starting to get loose here. Huling Kauser just had a big moment, got loose on the high side out of 4, took a huge hit to the wall, dropped 2 spots back to P10, but I think the bigger issue for Huling Kauser is going to be that 91 car likely has a little bit of damage on it as a result of the contact, and it's hurting his ability to get up through the field. You see him loose again there on the high side. Just one of a couple cars that are really struggling on the tires here now that we are 25 laps into this run, and he is going to need to cool them down and get some grip back under him if he wants to mount a charge further up the field.
Lap number 42, we're now past the halfway point, so less than 40 to go in this one, and drivers are starting to show some of that frustration that they're dealing with, especially when they're in these tight packs. We've been watching this, wow, the 9 and the 33 battle here. Tyler Justice is now up on the rear bumper, nearly exchanged paint with Barrett Morton, and I mean, you know, this is the time where you're going to see guys trying to make their beds and lay in them early. You want to try to get that real estate saved because that money stop is coming up probably in the next 15 or 20 laps.
Yeah, now that we're past the halfway point in this race, if we keep it green, I don't think we're too far from seeing a green flag pit stop, but we've seen a couple cars start to smack the wall, start to get loose, go around on pit entry there like Samuel Joseph just did. Not only is getting onto pit road going to be really difficult here on these worn tires, but just battling is going to be difficult on these worn tires, and I wouldn't be too surprised if we see a caution here before everyone can get their pit stops completed, either from someone getting loose coming to pit road or just getting loose while in a battle with another car like we've seen Huling-Kauser and a couple other cars do tonight. Barrett Morton is on the charge. He's gotten around Ryzen Baker now, trying to find his way up into P3 and get that 9 car up on the podium. Really good job to manage the tires on that 9 car. He is fast when it matters the most.
While all of that's been going on ahead, there's a dead heat right now for the AM drivers. Jamie Lidke and Jacob Lanke are side by side and now nose to tail coming through turns 1 and 2. Jamie Lidke with the edge right now over Jacob Lanke, but just a moment ago they were battling it out, hammers and tongs out. Oh! And just ahead, that looked like a kiss of the wall. That was Huling-Kauser in the 91. So that causes everybody maybe to think about checking up behind him. But right now, the 16 of Jamie Lidke with the edge over Jacob Lanke. Chuck Phelps running in third, Charles Abert in fourth, and none other than Alan Smith running in fifth right now in the AM standings. We go on board for just a moment. And it looks like Lanke and Lidke, ho, that's going to be a tough one, are still going to be fighting it out here on lap number 46 for the AM crown tonight.
Can we go on board with Huling-Kauser? Because he is really, really struggling. Loose out of the corner. Huling-Kauser, oh my goodness, he's around. Well, I said it when he was getting loose up there on the top, and there it goes.
Oh, my goodness. I have never held my breath like that. Everybody safely got past Kauser. Oof.
He had been on the verge of that for a couple laps, which is why I wanted to show the onboard. He was already loose down into the corner there. Had that wheel pointed to the right, just trying to keep it straight, and it looks like he gets on the power a little too early here. Car gets out from under him. He's shaking it back and forth, doing everything he can, but he smacks that outside wall, and the 91 car goes around. Luckily, no contact with anybody else.
With as hard as he was working that wheel, if he didn't have to wear wrist braces before, he will now. My goodness, you absolutely timed that perfectly. And of course, since we've now gone under caution for the third time of the night, we want to tip our cap to our friends at Lincoln Tech. Lincoln's mission is to provide superior education and training to our students for in-demand careers for a supportive, accessible learning environment, transforming students' lives and adding value to their communities. They are one of the largest automotive technology schools in the nation with 23 campuses, and they are the title sponsor of the Fall Series and a huge partner of Goat Locker Racing. And, you know, of course, a lot of those Lincoln Tech students would be working down in the real-life pits, as we're about to have virtual pit stops coming up right now as everybody is lined up against that white line and ready for wholesale pit stops at Atlanta.
We did not get to the green flag pit cycle there before that caution came out, and now we will see everyone come down under yellow. We'll see if any strategy gets played. Any cars taking right sides only, any cars taking fuel only, as you see a couple cars go around the field there. I believe those are lap cars getting their spots back. Everybody will come into the pits right here.
Oh,
Will
the 72
McWhorter-
overshot his pit box. He had to back up.
We'll see if he's able to come out in front of Mark Whitley or if the 74 is going to get that lead back here out of the pits. It's a great jump. Great pit stop for Whitley. He smokes it a little bit on exit. McWhorter is going to drop all the way back to 4th there. Like you said, went through the box a little bit, and he'll fall behind both Barrett Morton and Ryzen Baker on this restart. Justice 5th, Holt 6th, and then back from there, Kaiser, Threlkeld, Ellingson, Wallace, your top 10 off pit road.
The pit crews on iRacing may be virtual, but the pit stops are real. And unfortunately, it really cost Joseph McWhorter here. But, you know, something tells me no matter where Joseph McWhorter comes out of the pits, you know, which right now it looks like he's going to come out 4th, he is the kind of driver who will take his time, slice and dice his way up through Ryzen Baker and Barrett Morton. And we're going to see him battling it out with Mark Whitley next time we go green flag racing. And of course, we also want to thank our friends and our family here at Goat Locker Racing. Folks, head on over to goatlockerracing.org/donate. As a contributor to Goat Locker Racing, we make sure that your donation goes directly to supporting our cause of helping military veterans and first responders. We thank you for your generosity. Make sure that you hit that QR code right there in the middle of your screen, or text Goat Locker to learn, and text Goat Locker to learn more. My goodness, I can't read tonight. But you know, something that I think is so important is that every dollar that's donated goes right to where it has to be. And of course, you can also check out the new web store, which has been launched. Click that right there. Support Goat Locker, and of course, sport your Goat Locker apparel. I got to say, I am all about the hats and the long sleeve T-shirts, especially living here in the Northeast as winter is upon us.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier, I'm having a great time. It was about 90 yesterday. I'd be more in use of a short sleeve shirt from Goat Locker Racing because I get about 9 months of use out of that down here. Pace car is going to pull off this time in turn 4, and we've got Mark Whitley next to Barrett Morton up on the front row for the first time tonight. He'll look to find his way up to the lead of this race and into the next round. Pace car pulls in out of 4. Whitley is going to look to get a good jump, and he will. He's gone by the time we hit the front straightaway, and it'll be Ryzen Baker side by side with Barrett Morton down into turn 1.
Side by side battling they are, the 9 and the 77 just behind Mark Whitley. That's going to slow down Joseph McWhorter as they've kind of put a fence in front of him. They've got to try to hold him off, and McWhorter is all but shoving them forward. He's like, hey, listen. Oh, and McWhorter goes sideways.
Looked like that was
he's going to come back across the racetrack. Oh, hold on. Everybody go high.
Looks like everybody's going to get around that 72 car there. And that was just contact between him and the 77 car on entry to the corner. He dove in, and the 77 did not really go in as much as maybe the 72 was thinking he would. And you got that contact down there on corner entry. Great job by everybody to go high, go low, and get around Joseph McWhorter, because that could have been rough. You'll see it once again right here. Contact between the 77 and the 72. You had a couple cars taking evasive action. That's Alan Smith diving it down to the bottom, and I believe Timothy Wilms also getting out of the way of that one. But you saw a couple cars get kind of caught up in it as he came back up the road. Ooh, a couple more cars than I thought there. Mark Cofield in trouble on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, tip of the cap to those spotters who reacted so fast. I mean, I know several of our drivers use one as we go on board here with Sedarius Days, who's running right now in 26th position. Days is up 3 from after qualifying, and my goodness, oh, yeah. Days just gets wrapped up in that while some drivers are trying to take evasive action. Bad things can happen. Thank goodness for the old fast repair, the magic of iRacing.
Yeah, Daniel Parks just kind of hip-checked Charles Abert while he was trying to get out of the way of that crash, and it all piled up behind him. Kevin Price was going in a little bit too quick on the back end, made contact with Dave Calvert. That sent him around. That sent Kevin Price around. Joshua Unger also coming in a little quick, and then Noah Hogard. Just a lot of cars really not slowing down maybe as much as they could have in response to a wreck happening in front of them, and that's how you ended up with about 3 or 4 cars sprawled across turn 4 there. Brock Price also just very late hit in that accident.
You know, thank goodness for the virtual landscape, because that would take forever to clean that that mess up if this was the real world. My goodness. Mark Whitley going to stay here in the race lead. Barrett Morton going to be restarting in P2. Jamie Libke is being scored as your leader of the AM drivers, with Jacob Lanke, Chuck Feltz, Alan Smith, and Daniel Parks rounding out your AM top 5. Now, Jamie Libke leads the AM drivers, but is currently in 9th position. And I've said this time and time again this season. For whatever reason, it seems like 7th position overall is what generally locks in the drivers for the AM win. So Jamie maybe a little bit behind that normal, or at least I shouldn't say normal, but average finish to get that AM win. But several laps to go here, just less than 40, but a lot of, I'm sorry, just less than 30, but a lot of work to do at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
And Jamie Libke has had some problems this year. She came so close to getting an AM win earlier in the season, looked like she was going to do it, and then just got hooked off turn 4, sent her into the inside wall, and the hope of the AM win died right there. She's been so close so often, top 2, top 3, but hasn't been able to break through to the win of the AM class yet. This might be her best shot so far, as she sits in the lead with 26 laps to go here tonight at Old Atlanta. It's Mark Whitley and it's Barrett Morton sitting 1st and 2nd up on that front row. Jeremiah Holt and Sean Kaiser on row 2, 3rd and 4th. You've got Tyler Justice, Ryzen Baker, Ellingson, Threlkeld, Ham, and Libke as the pace car pulls off. Whitley's looking for a good jump, and he'll get it once again. He's clear by the time we take the green flag.
You know, Whitley has had this down to a science all night long. Great restarts out of him, as now the 73 of Jeremiah Holt works just up behind Barrett Morton. It's going to be Whitley, Morton, and Holt, your top 3, with Logan Threlkeld slinging it underneath the 33 of Tyler Justice and making it look just that easy to get around Justice. The 77 of Ryzen Baker now gets a run to the high side over top of Sean Kaiser. We haven't called Kaiser's name too often tonight as we go under caution number 5 at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Daniel Parks around on the front straightaway is going to be the cause of that one. And once again for Daniel Parks tonight, he had more than a bit of help in this one. He's 3 wide up on the top. He's got Brandon Wallace and he's got George Jewell on the inside of him. And George Jewell is just going to get a little tight on exit. He'll run it up the road, get into Wallace. Wallace gets into Parks, and the 71 car is turned around.
You know, sometimes in situations like this, especially when you're doing, you know, let's just say some really hard racing, you know, we see people like Jamie Libke who, you know, starts off tonight up in 6th position, is now dropped back to 11th, and, you know, so close to a win multiple times over the season, and now kind of sets back a little bit, you know, trailing Jacob Lanke, who's not too far away in 10th position, but that's a huge fight between the Arizona and Toledo contingents tonight.
Yeah, Jamie Libke lost the AM lead on that restart to Jacob Lanke, and is going to have to fight to get it back. Lanke, also a driver we've seen up here for the AM lead quite a few times this season. He's had a pretty good year, and getting a win here to advance himself straight into the next round of the playoffs would certainly be big for him, especially considering he did not run last week. He took no points as a result of our race last week at IRP, and he came into the AM standings dead last, needing to make up 28 to get himself into the next round, something that could really only be done if he grabbed the win. He's put himself in position to do that right now with 23 to go. He is your AM leader.
Mark Whitley going to be taking the green flag once again when we go back racing. And, you know, Whitley all night long, I mean, I quite frankly need to watch this guy do the takeoff here. And, you know, he has just had so much success on the restarts tonight. I'm curious to see how far he can jump out ahead of Morton, you know, before Morton even realizes that he's got to pedal and get up there faster.
Well, we will see because Whitley has been so fast. I think him and McWhorter are clearly the favorites for the Pro Championship this year, but with our finale being at Kentucky, anything could happen. Anyone could pull out a victory, and that is the fun of a playoff system like this. We'll see who's ultimately able to claim the title at year's end, but Whitley is as good of a guess as anybody. Barrett Morton currently sits in second, had a good week last week, just needs to run up here in the top 5 or 6 cars, and he should be well clear into the next round of the playoffs. Jeremiah Holt is not in that situation, had a bad week last week, came in 14th out of 16 cars in the pro class, needs to jump 16 as of the pre-race point standings to get into this next round. We don't have the live points for you, but we can tell you that if he runs up here in the top 3, he's got a pretty good chance of getting in. Nothing is going to get him in quite as much as a win would, though, and he will try to find his way past these 2 cars up into first.
As we work our way into turn 2 and head down the backstretch, the iRacing.com pace car lights are out. That means we'll be going back green flag racing this time by, and you know, with 22 laps to go, it'll be 21 when the green flag flies. I know these drivers want to see just as much as we do a good finish to this race. I mean, you know, and Goat Locker Racing and the Glove Station ARCA Series have put on incredible competitive races all season long, and this one is not about to disappoint us either.
No, we're going to see a pretty frantic last 21 laps here as drivers try to jostle for the final positions in the next round of the playoffs when we start that up in 2 weeks at Kansas. The pace car is going to pull in this time, and just as the last few restarts, it'll be Mark Whitley on the inside. It'll be Barrett Morton on the top. Can Morton stick with him, or will Whitley get another good jump? The answer is the latter. He's gone once again into turn 1, and Ryzen Baker is super loose. He'll keep it straight, but the field is going to fan out behind him as he drops all the way back to around P8. Threlkeld, Ellingson, Justice all get by.
Hey, if you're going to get loose, you definitely want to see skilled drivers like Threlkeld and Ellingson and, you know, some of those other guys around there. They were able to react and stay out of trouble. What that really did, though, was allowed Mark Whitley to scurry away as these drivers are scampering to try to get themselves into line. Logan Threlkeld, nearly getting nudged along by the 77, sees the 27 of Jake Ellingson. Side by side, they can waggle each other's fingers through the window nets right now, as now with 20 laps to go, the 27 secures 6th position and gets ready to hook on right to that rear fender of the 30, driven by Logan Threlkeld.
Oh, Threlkeld up into the fence here, loose into the corner. Doesn't go around there, but he's going to lose the position to Jake Ellingson. I wonder if he might take a little bit of damage on the right side of that car as well. Not immediately apparent because he is right back on the attack here to the bumper of Jake Ellingson as we're just in a line from 2nd through 6th as Mark Whitley continues to check out from your field. Ellingson jumps up to the high side. He gets around Sean Kaiser for P4. Contact with Jeremiah Holt for P3, but he gets that spot too. Now Threlkeld up to P5. That outside lane working right now.
37 of Jacob Lenke is now trying to hold off Jamie Lipke, who takes the high side. She finds a little bit of speed locked up in that front quarter. And now as we haul things down into turn 1, they bang against one another. The 37 sends the 16 up into the wall here with 18 laps to go. It wasn't on purpose. It was just a little bit of a tight condition and sent Jamie Lipke up. And now Jamie Lipke over top of Joseph McWhorter, who on the recovery drive is up into 13th.
Lipke might have a little bit of damage on the right front of that car if she smacked the wall a couple times now in that 37, and is going to look to really just hope she doesn't have damage so that she can make that run back up to Lanky as we continue to race around. Jeremiah Holt up to the outside of Barrett Morton. This is for P3. Holt gets that spot pretty easily. If you're on the outside, you seem to be able to make the move, and Barrett Morton has dropped from 2nd to 4th so far on this run. Seems to have a lot more of a long run style of driving here tonight. Not as quick on these quick 5-10 lap bursts, but if you get him on a 20-30 lap run, Barrett Morton might be able to come back to him.
The 85 of Jake Ham working to the inside now of Ryzen Baker. They are duking it out just behind the 33 of Tyler Justice. Now Lanky, of course, holds right now the AM race lead with Jamie Lipke. several positions back overall, but just one back in the AM standings. Now Baker gets a run on the high side, bringing along Joseph McWhorter in the 72, who's back up to 11th position now. I guess the over-under, the question becomes...
Lipke around! Whoa. Caught the grass there for the tri-oval while 3 wide on the inside. Made a good save, but is going to go all the way to the back of the field.
Well, just when Jamie Lipke thought that she had, at least P2 locked down in the AM standings, now that belongs to Chuck Pegleg Feltz, who trails Jacob Lanky, as Feltz is running 15th overall, Lanky 12th overall. They're not really ready to duke it out yet, but the 72 of Joseph McWhorter running in 9th is now side by side with the 77 and has the 33 of Tyler Justice in the crosshairs.
Some great battles going on really all over the road here. You see Ryzen Baker down there on the bottom. Jake Ellingson is absolutely flooring it, using up everything he can right now, trying to find his way to that 74 car of Mark Whitley and up in to the next round of the playoffs. Jake Ellingson, another driver with a bad week last week, came into this thing 15th out of 16 cars. He basically needs to either win or gain 22 points to get in, and he wants to do the win into the rear of Mark Whitley. He turns the 74 off of turn 2. Your new leader is Jeremiah Holt.
Staying down on the apron keeps the race going green. Jeremiah Holt takes over the race lead as Whitley manages to keep it just below that apron line, and now Jeremiah Holt leads this piece with Barrett Morton running in P2. I'd be curious to say this was super bad, but watch the 27 coming up behind. We're going to see this kind of set itself up. The 27 goes right to the low side, that quarter panel, and just barely gives it a nudge.
And he backs off there immediately, but the damage has already been done. He will drop well through the field here. Jake Ellingson all the way back to 6th. That's going to end his own hopes of grabbing a win here tonight, as you see him make the contact there and send the 74 around. It's going to end Mark Whitley's hopes of making it through tonight. And I think with how far Mark Whitley has dropped through the field, he's actually going to need to be on playoff bubble watch. Only came in 9 points clear. That's going to be a story that we'll have to follow post-race if Mark Whitley is able to make his way into the next round after that spin puts him in dead last. For now, Jeremiah Holt is going to go from potentially 14th to locked in if he can get the win here tonight behind the wheel of that 73 car, and that would be absolutely awful for Mark Whitley, because that is one more car that would jump him and put him one spot closer to out. As we are under 10 laps to go, Barrett Morton and Logan Threlkeld are going to try to take this win away. Sean Kaiser now looking on Logan Threlkeld. These drivers, Morton, Threlkeld, and Kaiser, none of them started inside the top 10, but they're here when it matters the most.
Yeah, if we were betting on FanDuel or MGM, you'd see a lot of people putting the smart money on the 72 and the 74. Both of those drivers now getting themselves into terrible situations, not even at their own hands, with Jeremiah Holt taking over the race lead. Joseph McWhorter running in 9th position, Barrett Morton running in 2nd, and all of a sudden Sean Kaiser in 4th position in the 46 is trying to nudge his way up onto the podium. The 37 of Jacob Lanky running 12th overall leads the AM standings, and all things considered, Kyle Deering running back in 2nd position on the AM standings in 14th, that could still be hotly contested if they can get some of the other competition out of the way.
And time is running out here, not just for the AM lead, but for the overall lead of this race as well. Barrett Morton is right on the bumper of Jeremiah Holt there, and he's nearly into the wall out of the corner, using every last centimeter of racetrack there as he got a little bit loose and nearly scraped that thing off the outside wall. They're coming up on a lap car of Sedarius Days in the 45, but I think he'll get out of the way and make room for this battle. Barrett Morton is there under 7 laps to go. Can he make the move and get himself the win?
Samuel Joseph getting himself into a terrible situation as well. Another big contender in tonight's race, blowing his motor as we go on board with Barrett Morton as Morton chases Jeremiah Holt down for the race lead. They are nearly touching one another as they come out of turn 2 and down the backstretch. Morton's getting a good run underneath the 73. He manages to maybe not necessarily get as good of a run as he needs, but he's now figured out how he's going to get around Jeremiah Holt if the opportunity should present itself. And, you know, I think a good patient driver is waiting for the door to open, and here it is for Barrett. Oh, man, and Morton rubs the 73. Another
Ryzen Baker's flip.
77 goes airborne and upside down. Ryzen Baker just high-five Jesus on the way through the front stretch.
Oh my goodness, that is going to change absolutely everything. Change the playoff picture, change the race, change the whole season. Jeremiah Holt, loose on the top line, out of the corner, just couldn't hold on to it. Tags Barrett Morton, chain reaction into the outside wall, and watch Ryzen Baker go for a ride.
Yeah, Ryzen Baker just absolutely got wrecked. Thank goodness this is a simulation, because bad things could have happened in the real world. Let's watch this again. The 77 coming through just literally ramps off the nose of the 73 and helplessly flops through the air. I'm going to say there's something wrong with the old toe link. Let's go on board for this perspective. And this is definitely a Code Brown moment for the 77 as he comes through, and there's no place to go as he comes right over top of Barrett Morton.
Man, that is just a nasty, nasty hit there. Jacob Lanke's probably got some damage, or not Jacob Lanke, the car in front of him there, Brandon Wallace, has some damage in that 99 car as well. What a mess. I mean, that's one of the bigger crashes I think I've ever seen. Look at this. This is mayhem right here.
Yeah. Lanke. No, Lanke should probably play the Powerball, because he is the luckiest SOB on the racetrack tonight. My goodness. Man. You know what? Let's see. This has to be the Apple Maps navigation of the race with Jacob Lanke. Running his race, staying out of trouble, coming out of 4, sees the smoke and dives to the inside of the racetrack, and by sheer dumb luck gets through all of that disaster.
He nearly spun that thing into the outside wall as well. Great job to hold on to that car and not make that wreck worse there when it started to get loose on him as he slid through. This is going to really shake up everything at the front of the field here. Joseph McWhorter has got his way all the way back up through the field and into second in that 72 car. Sean Kaiser in the 46 is your leader. You got Huling Kauser. He had a spin earlier too. He's here in third. Hogard fourth, George Jewell fifth at the moment. And I think we might have seen a couple pit stops there. Yes, we did. Tyler Justice, Brandon Wallace, Kyle Deering all down the pit lane. Your top 10 are the ones who stayed out.
Everyone else took 4 tires on this pit stop. So, you know, with Sean Kaiser and Joseph McWhorter up atop the pile, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier. McWhorter has navigated his way back onto the front row. He may not be scored as P1 just yet, but obviously that is where his sights are set.
Yeah, 2 of our top 3 cars have now gone for a spin in this race, and they are still up here as if nothing ever happened. We're going to get a natural overtime here. 2 to go to finish off our race at Atlanta. If we make it to the white flag, we will stay green to the end. If the caution comes out on the first lap, we will use one of our overtimes, and we will do it again. Joseph McWhorter has charged all the way from last back up to the front row, but can he get around the 46 of Sean Kaiser, who's been up here fighting all night long and now has the perfect chance to lock himself into round 2? The pace car pulls in. It's Kaiser. It's McWhorter. We're green. 2 to go at Atlanta. And we're wrecking immediately. Car sliding on old tires. Kyle Deering wrecks it. Looks like there's oil on the racetrack because we've got about 9 cars around.
Yeah, you better get the Speedy dry out, because that was a mess and a half.
That was...
Oh, my God.
That was about 4 cars simultaneously. I have never seen that before.
I mean, I've heard of synchronized swimming as an Olympic sport, but this was synchronized wrecking.
It's just all the cars on old tires just...
We go right in here to the 36.
Man, that's like 7 at once. Oh my goodness. That took out a lot of the AM Class 2 back there.
You know, my son's got some Hot Wheels cars that I watch him throw across the floor when he gets angry, and that's kind of what this looked like.
I have never seen that before. That what an angle.
Wow. Alan Smith had a finger-licking good ride down through the apron and gets pushed by Jamie Libke through the grass, faced the wrong way. There is no eloquent way to discuss what we just watched.
I mean, that was basically everybody on old tires. I mean, we can take any car there. Alan Smith probably had a pretty good view on board of that one. You'll see it. Yeah, he's one of the cars that dives down, gets into the back of Cofield. I mean, I think that was everybody on old tires except for your top 3 or 4. Kaiser, McWhorter, Kauser, and Libke are all in pretty decent shape. I don't think anybody else is in pretty decent shape after that one, and this is actually going to really shake up the order. I'll tell you about that in a second because we're going to get another look at that lanky into the Mark Cofield as well. They're extracurricular. I mean, oof. That's going to be really bad for not just the cars involved, but for the cars that stayed out, because now Kaiser, McWhorter, Kauser, and Libke do not have any gap from them to the cars behind him who took tires. Brandon Wallace is in 5th on 2, Threlkeld, Ellingson 6th and 7th on 4. All of those cars who tried that 2-tire or who tried to stay out have just wrecked, and now there is no buffer between Kaiser and everyone behind him.
No, and what that does here in the long run is it does trigger NASCAR overtime. And folks, what that means is when we go back green flag racing, we're going to have 2 laps to go. We're going to race around from the waving of the green flag to the white flag. Should a caution come out between the green flag and the white flag waving, we're going to rack them, stack them, and do it all over again. However, if we see the white flag wave, the next flag ends the race. Whether that flag is yellow, checkered, polka spotted, it don't matter. If Barney the flagman has to wave after the white flag comes out, that's going to end the race. The field freezes. So when we go back green flag racing, it's going to be Sean Kaiser, Joseph McWhorter, Julian Kauser, Jamie Libke, Brandon Wallace, Logan Threlkeld, Jake Ellingson, Jake Ham, Timothy Wilmus, and Jacob Lanke, your overall top 10. Oddly enough, after having a really rough series of laps, Jamie Libke, she's got herself back up into the AM lead, with Jacob Lanke running P2. Chuck Pegleg Feltz is swapping back and forth with Unger in the 51. That's Josh Unger for P4. And, none other than Brock Price rounding out your AM top 5.
One thing I'm noticing is that the key to success this race seems to be spin out, because McWhorter, Kauser, and Libke up here in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th have all gone for spins today and have all recovered to get back up here into the top 4. Only Sean Kaiser of these drivers has had a clean race. He is currently your leader, and he will look to not only hold off these cars, but to get a good restart on his 30-lap old tires. Pace car is in. Let's see if we get a better restart this time. Kaiser is off. We're back green at Atlanta, and we are going to wreck once again back there. A couple cars spinning down to the infield. We've got Lanke around, but we're going to stay green.
We stay green even after the accordion move. Sean Kaiser, your race leader, he's got Joseph McWhorter in tow. McWhorter is trying to close in on him. He looks to the inside, and now they're drag racing down the backstretch and into turn 3. Joseph McWhorter taking away the race lead from Sean Kaiser, and looking on from behind is Jake Ellingson, who watches this battle. Ellingson's got a full head of steam coming to the inside of the 46. He's going to try to take on McWhorter. The white flag is in the air. We're racing back to checkers.
Ellingson is on 4 tires here. He's got the advantage as we come down to the end of this race. Libke's been passed by Chuck Feltz for the AM lead, but it's Jake Ellingson from out of nowhere back to the lead of the pro class. McWhorter's going to give him one last move down into the corner, all over the bumper, but the 27 is gone. Coming out of turn 4, Jake Ellingson is going to win at Atlanta, and we are crashing big time behind him. Chuck Feltz wins the AM class and is totaled in the process.
Chuck Feltz just came across trying to make the insurance claim while Jamie Libke is spinning helplessly. Jake Ellingson has got to feel some form of relief as he adjusts the hat and gives a tip there to the rest of the field. Wow, what a win for Jake Ellingson. Logan Threlkel going to be scored P2 with Joseph McWhorter in third. That's your overall top three. Chuck Phelps gets the guns out. He is going to go celebrate real quick as, my goodness, what a finish to this race we've had tonight.
What a race. I mean, look at that. Oh, my goodness. Sean Kaiser. That was a vicious hit there. That thing was cartwheeling down the front straightaway. He's still going to finish 8th in class. Wow. We're going to get another look at this here. He's up in the wall. He was just struggling. The old tires didn't hold up at all. Got hip checked there by Hulenkhauser. Man. Oh, huge hit with Kyle Deering, too. He brought it home 5th in AM.
Yeah, he's still trying to figure out which is up and which is down after being spun like a top. Wow.
We'll get one more look at
this is the pass for the lead.
Yeah, the race win here. Jake Ellingson on the 4-tire call ends up being the right one. He gets right around McWhorter. McWhorter tried to give him a shot down into the corner, but Jake Ellingson did not blink for even a second, and by the time he reached turn 4, he was gone for the win of that race. Logan Threlkeld also on 4 tires brought it home P2 as it all went wrong behind him.
You know, and you don't blame McWhorter for giving him as much of a shot as he could. I mean, you know, he's racing for the win. Ellingson's racing for the win, and I've never seen Ellingson get so aggressive defending a position like that as we go on board with Jamie Libke, who got loose coming here out of the back or onto the backstretch. There was a whole lot of wall banging for Jamie Libke as she was trying to go after Chuck Phelps, and Phelps just, you know, had the edge tonight and manages to bring home the AM win. So great performance by all of our drivers tonight as they get things cooled down here at the start-finish line.
Congratulations to the 43 of Brock Price as well. I believe he was the only driver in the top 6 cars in AM that's going to come back to the hauler with a functional race car. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. The 37 has
can't park there.
Perched it on the wall.
I don't think you can park there, and the camera can't even get it in focus. Let's watch and see how the 37 found himself perched on the wall like that as he comes through the grab.
This happened. Yeah, this was on the restart. Oh. He was one of the cars involved in the wreck on the restart and decided. Well, you'll see it right here. There you go.
He really did try to park there. I guess he didn't have the rear view camera.
I've never seen that one before. I mean, he was part of that big checkup on the restart where we saw a bunch of cars get caught up. Mark Whitley was also really heavily involved in that, and he was one of those cars that lost a ton of time there with those restart checkups. There goes the field. What a race. What a night. We're going to send it to a commercial break. When we come back, we will have the results and your reviews with Ellingson and Phelps. Stay tuned.
Superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your glove station.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
We are back here from Old Atlanta, and we're going to get straight into our interviews for tonight. First, we're going to call into the booth our race winner in the pro class, Jake Ellingson. Jake, how you doing?
How's it going, boys?
Pretty good. You grabbed the win tonight. It was a close one, but you managed to surge back through the field on those fresh tires. What was the thought process behind that pit stop?
Get tires, go fast, turn left.
And it worked out pretty well for you there. You were able to drive it back through the field. How are you feeling trying to get that thing back up, especially after the big one there on that restart?
That was yeah, I seen everybody spin their tires and I backed off almost instantly and just try to let everybody shuffle their way, down because that's where it looked like it was going and just trying to keep my straight line and not, move the car side to side to try to avoid anybody, just keep it straight and luckily I made it through.
All right. Well, it was a good win for you tonight. It locks you into the next round of the playoffs, and you came in from pretty far back. I mean, you were
Oh
15th
yeah.
heading into this race. Was there a little extra pressure on you to get it done?
I definitely was in a must-win situation coming into tonight, and I mean, a lot of people were faster. It sucks that they didn't get to finish and have the finish that they deserve. But I'm definitely happy that I'm moving forward to the next round and hopefully redeem myself for some of the incidences tonight.
All right. Anyone to thank tonight?
Oh, I definitely got to thank Lincoln Tech for putting their name on this number 27. Glad to get them 2 wins in a row because I won Friday night too. So glad to get them 2 wins in a row. Definitely glad to get them a win here in the ARCA series. Got to thank Glove Station for sponsoring the ARCA series here. They've done an amazing job with us. Cruising Classics, Save 22, MK Fire Design, and Zat Graphics, Invets, Jam Printing and Promotions, Sim Motion, and then Alexander PCs, you guys at V Speed for putting on all these amazing broadcasts 6 nights a week. You guys do a phenomenal job. And then last but not least, I can't thank my beautiful wife and my wonderful daughters for allowing me to come out and have fun with you guys.
All right. Congrats on the pro and the overall win tonight, Jake Ellingson.
All right, thank you.
And we're going to throw it over now to Dave Regal, who is going to be standing by with our second place finisher tonight, Chuck Phelps.
Hey, Chuck, it's Dave in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I do have a copy, sir. How are you tonight?
Buddy, I'm good, but you're even better, man. You've got the guns out and brought all the competition right here to the very end. You put Jamie Libke in her place and kind of shoved out of the way. I mean, you really battled it out with Jamie, and I mean, it was a good, clean battle. I mean, I'm only breaking your stones, but wow.
Well, Jamie actually sent me a message. I don't know a couple weeks back. It said, "Look, you need to get on that wheel and drive people a lot harder than you do." And I kind of took that to heart. Didn't necessarily mean it for her. I hope I didn't do her dirty or anything, but I was on that wheel tonight for sure. I feel bad for my teammate Jacob Linke. He was in a must win, but he had damage. We were speaking under that last restart. Like if I got momentum, I got to go. I'll work with you because he was in a must win, and I was doing pretty good with points on my position. But when he wasn't able to go with the damage, I had to get up on that wheel. So.
Yeah, you hear that a lot in motorsports, when one driver is encouraging another driver and doesn't think that it's going to come down to the two of them, especially in these elimination races. But, you punch your ticket onto the next round of the playoffs. We take the week off next week for Thanksgiving, of course, but, what's going to be the strategy, aside from full send and make this thing happen?
Yeah, and I've told teammates like many leagues, my barrier that I can't get over. It doesn't matter what car, what track combination. I suck at qualifying. I feel I'm a decent driver, mid pack at best, but I don't think I'm a back marker. I think I have race management, to be it tire saving, fuel saving, just managing my race. but I can't qualify to save my life. So I'm always playing catch up um, throughout the race. I had to really, really practice my qualifying efforts even more than I already do. That's going to be key for me. I can't start. I think I started 27th tonight, and I think I finished P6 overall. And that's not, ooh, look at me. I know there was some carnage and some people that got wrecked out. I get that, but it's tough to start 27th out of 31 cars and be competitive. That makes sense. So that's my goal. I have to work on qualifying.
Hey man, I totally get it. I mean, you still ran a great race, and you hit that magic number of getting past P7 to bring home the AM win tonight. So before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank, and who helped you get it done tonight on the 75?
Okay, so bear with me. Obviously, you guys have never seen me up here. I don't have experience with this, so I'm just let me kind of read them all out. And respect to everybody I'm going to mention. Lincoln Tech, Save 22, Glove Station for this specific series, Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs, Jam Printing and Promotions, B Speed. You guys always, all your entire crew, every week, every series. You guys do an amazing job. Alexander PC's iRacing, of course. MK Fire Design, Sim Motion, and I have to thank my fellow teammates, each and every one of them. Some that race with me, is some that race other series, but everybody on the Save 22 team is so supportive in giving knowledge or racecraft advice or just great communication on track. I have to thank all of them. And certainly, last but not least, it probably should have been first. I want to give shout out to all my brother and sister veterans and first responders, fire, police, EMT, et cetera, et cetera. I thank each and every one of those men and women for the service, love, and respect to all of them. So there you go. I'm not very good at this, so
Nope, buddy,
there you
I get
go.
it. No, we appreciate the time, man, and we will see you in 2 weeks when we go deeper into the playoffs. Thank you, sir,
Sounds good. Happy Thanksgiving to you and everybody else. Thank you.
and to you. Well, Sky, another one in the books here in the Goat Locker Racing Glove Station ARCA series, and what a barn burner we had tonight.
Was a great one, and we're going to look forward to 2 weeks from now where we will continue the playoffs in the round of 8 at Kansas. Any thoughts about that one, Dave?
Yeah, Kansas is one of those racetracks that, I don't want to call it a wild card, but there can be one driver that can really pull away from the rest of the field, or this can turn into, a complete, mayhem festival. But something tells me the skill level of these drivers, we're going to see the cream rise to the top and see who's really got it for the championship.
Once again, we're off next week for Thanksgiving, but we will be back in 2 weeks for the start of the round of 8 in the playoffs. For everybody at V-Speed and Goat Locker Racing, for Dave and Eddie and myself up here in the booth, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and have a great night.